Is the applause necessary? Apparently so. Oh, I've got that. What is going on in the background there? Oh, hello, everybody.
Oh,
Lee, can you? I'm just checking. You're definitely on. Your sound is definitely on.
Yeah, just checking everything. Oh, that was a bit weird. There's not many people have joined us. We normally have lots of people here by this point, but
no. If I can see it, then people can see it.
I was worried that nobody was here.
But what I do is, oh,
can you hear me?
Your sound cut it out there.
Oh, sorry. Let me just move my mic. I've moved my mic and just mute it while it's
moving. Might be just getting a few technical difficulties there. Hello, Casper. Do see you there. Let's just do the intro. Welcome everyone to the Snowflake Show, Season 2, Episode 10.
10.
Not 10. 10 episodes of the year already, Lee. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Doing pretty well. Pretty strong. Do like your shirt, by the way.
Tory 2600. Classic.
Yeah,
even got
absolute classic.
Even got the whole what's it on it there? The whole console on it there.
Yeah. I'm absolutely going completely off topic. I'm your co-host Regan Elite, alongside
Lee Corn. This one.
Sound keeps cutting out.
Keeps cutting out?
I don't know why.
Just mine.
Your sound keeps cutting out.
That's weird.
I don't know what it is. Guys, can you just confirm if you're hearing what I'm hearing from Lee's end? Is his sound cutting out? Can you just let me know in the chat? And if you can hear me all right, I'm assuming you guys can hear me all right. Otherwise, you'd be saying something. Just while we double check that. And over the next hour, guys, we're just going to give you the latest news of what's been going on this week. It's been a hectic week, obviously, since last week. I've got quite a lot on the notes to go through. And then, of course, we have the stories we've got for you guys today. Something about an alligator as well. Yeah, we've got to share later on. That's a pretty nifty one as well.
Yeah. Not a crocodile, it's an alligator. So my internet is a bit slow, which could be the cause of the problems. It's saying excellent connection, but I'm getting you're breaking up a bit as well, so it might be my internet. It always seems to do it when we live stream, but be fine when we're not. So I'll just keep an eye on it. It hasn't got any dropped out. Any stream health? I haven't got any dropouts. Oh, I thought you'd frozen then.
Keep dropping.
If the stream is healthy, I haven't got any.
Might be.
Issues.
Sorry, guys, we're having technical issues. If you guys can hear us,
in the chat if there's any issues, but it seems to be okay. Maybe it's just the Discord. Maybe that's playing up. I've moved the mic closer, so it should be okay now. Because it was across the other side of the room. Right, I'll turn that off then. Right, let's just just carry on and see how it goes.
Says he can hear both of us. So Duke says he can hear both of us. Okay, as long as you can hear us both, guys, that's the main thing. Chris Fisher says you guys sound good. Okay.
Should you see who's in the chat?
Yeah, we've got Casper in the chat.
Hi, Casper.
We've got Chris Fisher.
Hi, Chris.
We've got Duke of Vengeance.
Duke of Vengeance.
We got a lefty.
Bloody Snowflakes.
We got a lefty boater.
Bloody Snowflakes always snowflaking around everywhere.
Yeah. We got a lefty boater, but no righty boater.
Good.
There's the number 3.
Number 3.
And a cash dummy to boot.
And Chris Fisher says, "Yeah, I had an Atari 520 ST as a kid. I bought 2 last. Did you read that? You already read that one. I bought 2 last year, being nostalgic. Yeah, I should have bought 2. The price of these things are going through the roof at the moment. All the retro gear.
What do you need 2 for? You're only going to play 1.
Oh, I suppose one might break down. Your guys sound good.
Don't say that.
Audio and video okay, synchronized good, because Marcus Allshorts had some terrible synchronization issues the other night on his live stream. Kept drifting out and then going back, and it was a nightmare. Kendra's here. Good evening, wonderful snowflakes. Hi, Kendra. You okay?
Good to see you, Kendra.
Duke Vendors is the cast dummy for a capitalist baby. Oh, very good. The lefty boater says, "Shh, righty boater is my alt account."
There you go. Secret's out.
We
know who you really are now.
Stu's here. Hey guys.
Stu. Good to see you there as well.
They're old and I couldn't get a floppy to work. Both do boot up. They don't use floppies though. They use cartridges. Cartridge slot. Right. Anyway.
I've got a ton of notes, so shall we crack right into them?
Yeah, let's get on with it. We have to imagine the music because we can't hear the music at this end. Just spoil the magic for everybody. We can't hear that when it plays.
Yeah, it's just ruining it. We're trying to listen to the tune and you're talking in the background. God.
Oh, right. Dear.
Let's go straight. Let's get through the notes quickly because I'm sure everyone's dying to hear about the budget.
Yeah.
Right. So, some of the latest news since the last show. Boris Johnson had nominated the Daily Mail chief Paul Darks for a peerage for the second time. Britain will pay out 480 million over the next 3 years in a deal struck between Rishi Sunak and Emmanuel Macron to tackle the small boat channel crossing. Yeah, because obviously we don't have money for our working class people.
Well,
The Independent says NHS leaders warn of life-saving surgeries and urgent cancer care will be hit during the doctor's strike. I'm going to save that. There was a snap poll during the whole Gary Lineker fiasco asking Britain say that the BBC was wrong to suspend Gary Lineker. 53% say it was wrong to suspend him. 51% Conservative voters thought it was right. 36% said wrong. 10% of Labour voters thought it was right. 75% said it was wrong. That was a snap poll by YouGov during the whole fiasco. Rishi Sunak vows to increase defence spending by nearly $5 billion over the next 2 years to counter threats from hostile states. This was during his visit to America. He made that pledge. Story from The Guardian. China's BYD blames Brexit as it rules out UK for the first electric car plant in Europe. The world's largest EV and hybrid manufacturer is not the first to cite EU exit for such a decision. So for those who are wondering, basically no electric car plant going to be in the UK. They've ruled us out because of Brexit. Just 1% of more than 1,500 police officers or staff facing complaints about their treatment of women in a 6-month period were sacked, casting further doubt on the police's ability to tackle violence against women and girls. This was another story on Saturday. Rishi Sunak's plans to reduce small boat crossings will effectively reverse a ban on child detention. That's to do with the illegal migration bill. If you guys haven't been keeping up to date with that story, so this would also, and it's been mentioned in the Houses of Parliament, if I recall, that people who are sex traffickers and against their will come into this country won't be able to get the help that they need under this new anti-immigration bill, which sadly passed its second reading on Tuesday, if I recall. Yesterday, wasn't it? The second reading had passed.
I haven't been keeping on top of it. I think Priti Patel even criticised it because of the child element of it.
Yeah.
I think when Priti Patel is criticising the immigration bill, then maybe you need to have a look at yourself.
Yeah. Just a little bit more on that. The UN Refugee Agency say that it's profoundly concerned about the asylum bill introduced by the government not today. It said the bill in its current form compels the Home Secretary to deny access to the UK asylum system to those who arrive here irregularly. It said, a statement read that if the legislation is passed, it would amount to an asylum ban, extinguishing the right to seek refugee protection in the United Kingdom from those who arrive irregularly, no matter how genuine and compelling their claim may be, and with no consideration for the individual circumstances. And it's in breach of the human rights laws. It's in breach of international law as well, which the UK is under, if you actually look at the bill. Another story we're not covering today, which came out today, I don't know if you guys are aware, the FTSE 100 and other European stock markets have taken a beating as concerns over the US of the health of the US bank across the Atlantic. London's blue chip index lost 75 billion in combined market value by the close of suffering in its deepest fall on a points basis. So if you guys got stock option shares, they are on a 10 today. Nothing to do with the budget. It's to do with It's to do with other circumstances. It's not actually to do with the budget. The FTSE crashing today, believe it or not.
I think there's a lot of Silicon Valley Bank collapse has caused a lot of uncertainty, a lot of worry in the market, hasn't it?
Yeah, they are very scared at the moment. And then finally, just as you guys, we ain't covering it as an article, but obviously, as you guys are aware, Gary Lineker, he's returning as a Match of the Day host after he was taken off air over his tweets criticising the government's migration policy. And finally, on Gary Lineker, he said he described the accusation that he called Northern voters racist bigots as outrageous and dangerously provocative. The host made he put that comment in response to comments made by the Conservative MP Jonathan Gullis, who basically made those accusations against him.
Knuckle dragger. Not Gary Lineker, Jonathan Gullis. Anyway.
Yeah. So that is some of the news over the past week, guys.
Mm-hmm. See what it's saying in the chat. Talking about Atari computers and Amiga 500s, Mega Drives. Duke Vengeance, the illegal bill, fixed it. As if that would deter the smugglers. Yeah.
No, well.
Go on. No, no, it won't. No, sorry, I thought you were going to say something else.
I'm just agreeing with number 3 there. Yeah. No, it won't deter them, basically, yeah.
It needs to be noted, Larry the Cat says, hi, Larry. It needs to be noted that not one Tory MP voted against this bill. Yeah. Pedulous is here. Definitely Larry the Cat willfully breaking international law again. Chris Fish says Westminster can cry all they want about illegal pokes on boats, but international law says you have a right to arrive, and you can arrive how you want. Yeah. Gutless Gullis, what a tonce, says Larry the Cat. I don't know if there's a little bit misspelling there. Chris Fisher says how and where you want. It clearly states you do not need to apply for asylum in the first country you get to. Yeah, and I've seen so many people go, first country, you have to go first safe country. It's not. They can go where you can go wherever you want and claim asylum. Yeah. We know what the simple fixes are to this, but the government will not do it because it plays to the base. So, shall we go into
Let's get the most boring story out of the way.
The most boring story. I think it's really, really rather exciting.
It is so exciting because it's so exciting, guys. I actually sat and watched it all after it was already live. I came home from work and watched the whole thing, and I totally regret it.
On replay. I started watching it, and I kind of heard bits on the radio, but I literally just went on Guardian and just got the highlights on text.
It's the budget, guys. The key points of the Chancellor Jeremy Hunt's speech. So I'll just go. I'm not going to read the whole thing. We're just going to go to. We'll just go to the bullet points. So first thing, childcare. Parents working 16 hours a week of children aged 9 months to 5 years will get 15 hours free childcare to encourage caregivers to enter the workforce. This will be staggered from April 2024 to ensure enough places. Children up to 2 years will get 15 hours free from April 2024. Children from 9 months off will benefit from September 2024 and from September 2025. Every single working parent of a child under 5 will have access to 30 hours free childcare per week. Now, just want to briefly just mention, because I spoke to Lee about this off air before we come on about this. So my partner works in childcare, and this will not make a single difference to the situation. The reason why it doesn't make a single difference to the situation, the way it works and the way that these childcare companies get the money, is that the money is used for the education of the children. So pens, paper, all that kind of stuff, for the education for them. That's specifically is what it's for. The money they get from the government does not allow them to go towards the company that is actually running the place. So it's a grey area on whether they're allowed to use that money to pay for the food for the children. I'm not 100% sure on that. Mrs. said it's a bit of a grey area. But for childcare companies, especially small independent ones, their money, that the money they get from the government can only go towards the education of the child. This money that they get only goes towards the education of the child. So things like when they've got bills to pay, when they've got supplies that need to pay, and all these things, all the other costs that they necessarily have. The only way they can pay for them is from people who actually cough up and pay for the childcare for the childcare there. So it's a really important detail. I just want to make very clear that this doesn't actually make a big difference to this doesn't really make a difference to childcare, because if they had to take more kids on, it would mean that they have to bump up the costs of people having children there already, basically.
Yeah, because it costs to have kids on free childcare. Even though they get money out of the government, like you said, they can't use it for everything, so it doesn't cover the costs of everything that they have to do.
Yeah, so like it doesn't make a difference, guys. It won't make a difference whatsoever. It's
just jump in the chat quickly. Duke says, "How about opening more nurseries so there's actual places to send children to?" I think that the issue really is that it's run by the private sector. So everything the government's
that's the thing.
And
my missus works in a private childcare. So, and the way it works is that the money that they get from the government to take on these children, it cannot be used to help the company itself. The only money it can only go towards the education. I'm not sure about food because it's a grey area, but everything they budget and spend on, it's all checked. It's all checked. So they can't like. It's all checked by like independent, Ofsted and all that.
Yeah,
but they can't like.
I was just going to say, I don't think he actually covers the cost of everything that they do for the kids anyway. So
no, it doesn't.
So they have to
absolutely
basically
does not.
The
absolutely
people
does not.
If you pay for childcare, you're basically paying for the bit that covers the rest. They're kind of subsidising it, which is why part of the reason why childcare is so expensive as well. But instead of giving it fully funded childcare, they're kind of just half-hearted measures. So while it sounds like a great idea, it doesn't really
it doesn't touch the surface. Right. Pensions, the lifetime allowance, total amount of workers can accumulate to pension savings before paying extra tax has been abolished. Mr. Humps hopes that it will stop 80% of NHS doctors from receiving a tax charge. So basically it's trying to stop people retiring early in the NHS.
Yeah. But it's only really people who in really, really high-paid jobs who reckon that there's about 15,000 people it'll affect. Or it might bring 15,000 people back into work, and they're hoping that they will be doctors and consultants in the NHS. I can see there'll be people will be using it as a tax fiddle, so they can rather than paying tax, the unlimited amount of pension, you just chuck it all in a pension pot. And footballers were doing this before. I don't know if this rule was originally brought in to stop that, or whether they're just going to overseas pension pots, but it'll be used as a tax avoidance. There'll be tax avoidance. There'll be accountants at this very moment drawing up ways of using that to allow people to avoid paying tax. But anyway, go on.
Alcohol duty, not that's going to make a difference. Tax relief of 11p has been announced. Don't know how that's going to make a difference to people's lives. Fuel duty. I'm starting to lose my voice. Excuse me.
Served in pubs, tax relief of 11p.
Yeah. Fuel duty, an extension of 5p cut in fuel duty at the cost of £6 billion has been announced for the year. Fuel duty will also be frozen for the next 12 months. Benefits. The government will abolish the work capacity assessment for disabled people and separate benefit entitlement from an individual's ability to work. The aim is to enable disabled people to seek work without fear of losing their benefits. A new program called Universal Support will also fund extra support for disabled people to find work. The new apprenticeship, called a returnership, will be created for those aged 50 or over wanting to return to work. That's wanting. Mr. Hunt said it will make existing skill programs more appealing for older workers and focus on previous experiences. An extra 400 million will increase mental health and musculoskeletal workplace to stop people being forced to leave work due to sickness. Well, if you fix the NHS, you'll be able to stop people being sick. So that's the first thing there. Second thing is that they're going to kill people literally by pushing people into jobs that they can't do. Trying to force these people into work when to try and make it even harder for people to basically claim benefits when people are already struggling enough as it is. Don't know if you wanted to add any more to that.
He was saying, you can, rather than thinking, I'll leave work, it's not worth it. And he could actually, you could actually look forward to 2 decades of I can't remember his words, but I was thinking, yeah, I can work for another 20 years. No, I don't think so.
No.
Anyway, go on, carry on.
All right. Business support, corporation tax on profits. So, it's due to rise from 90% to 25% in April. Businesses will be able to offset 100% of the UK's investment against their profits and bring down tax bills. The OBR said it will increase business investment by 3% every year. Mr. Hunt announced the measures for the next 3 years, but intends to make it permanent as soon as we can responsibly do so. An enhanced credit has been introduced for small and medium-sized businesses. If they spend 40% or more of their total expenditure on research and development, they can claim credit worth £27 for every £100 they spend. Doesn't do anything. It's not much for businesses, to be fair. Energy bills, as expected, the government is extending the energy price guarantee. Martin Lewis and everyone should be delighted about this one, which keeps the average household bill at £2,500 till the end of June by capping the unit price of electricity. Yes, it's still up. Yes, I know the bills are up, but at least they're not going further up for now. That's the good thing. But obviously, we want them to go down. But at least they're being kept at what they are. So that's the only good thing about that. So cross fingers, the bills something will come eventually.
I think we're going to end up paying for this for years, aren't we? Let's face it. Because all I've done is put it off. The massive bill, just spread it over a longer period.
The energy rebate scheme paid direct to customers in 6 instalments of £66 and £67 a month has not been extended and will end this month. The so-called prepaid premium, whereby those using prepayment meters are charged more than for their gas and electricity, will be scrapped from July, enabling 4 million families to save £45 a year on their bills. It's still a huge chunk of money they're paying on their bills. You need to do more.
Well, I mean, if it gets you to the same level as I mean, it's hard to get on a discounted or a fixed rate price at the moment. But it's still. I think it'll probably actually save them more than that. I know it was really expensive when I was on a prepaid meter. That was a long time ago.
Investment zones. I'm not going to talk about that. The stupid one there. Public leisure and pools will share a £63 billion fund. Why? Defence spending, I mentioned that in the notes, is going to get an extra 11 billion over the next 5 years. Climate, up to £600 million in tax relief for nuclear power to be classed as environmental sustainability. That's until it blows up. Then it won't be so environmentally friendly. That's some of the. Is there anything else? No. That's some of the key stuff from the budget. Anything you want to say on that budget?
To that end, Great British Nuclear has been created with the aim to bring down costs. Basically, they've stolen Great British Energy, which was, or British Energy, or whatever it was going to be called, and just created their own version of nuclear.
GB Energy, I think they were going to call it.
Yeah. So they've just gone Great British Nuclear. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What did I look at before, and I thought, it's interesting, Cursor tackle 500 million already be able to tackle a curse of potholes. A lot of potholes right where I live. Public leisure centres. Interesting about the pools because there's controversy over Rishi Sunak's pool. Have you seen that this week?
Yeah, I just feel like they're taking the mick here with that one.
But they
really are just laughing at us while they're talking about pools. There's just like no mention whatsoever. I mean, I listened to Keir Starmer's response. No mention whatsoever about doing anything about pay for people at all. Nothing at all. Nothing at all for ordinary people, really. It really isn't. It was a shallow budget.
Yeah.
Looking at the analysis from some of the clips that Sky News showed after, like some of the detailed analysis and all that kind of thing, the vast majority of people are still going to suffer, and it's going to get worse. And it might not be until about they're hoping next year things will turn, but obviously, like they're saying that inflation will go down significantly by the end of the year, the OBR forecast.
Yeah.
But that's still not going. People are struggling right now.
Yeah.
And
it's going to go negative, do you reckon, in a couple of years, by 2025. Negative inflation, then it'll sort of level off back up to about 2.9, they're saying at the moment. But by the end of the decade, Just jumping back into the chat. So Larry the Cat says turnips, the fudget. Pedro's first safe country is part of the Dublin agreements for UK left through their tough Brexit. Yep. So if we're still part of the EU, first safe country would be part of that agreement. But that we don't have that anymore. Stu, how will have to apply for asylum in Italy to escape the Tory tyranny? Yeah. Maybe Max will take you in as a refugee. Number 3 says our constitution should forbid such attempts to break human rights law. Perhaps it is done in principle, but there's no enforcement. It's not going to go. You know, at the end of the day, it's not going to be enforced. A lot of these things, you know, there's what the 44th attempt to fix this immigration, and it's just, you know, it won't fix anything. Customer says 11 pence off your £5 pub beer via beer tax as a Brexit benefit for Tim Martin. 30p Lee is rejoicing. Yes. Sorry, Cats, do you have a word with Max? He'll sponsor your application if you donate to Spring Summer Mankini collection. Yeah. Lee dropped out. I didn't drop out. I was still here. Just Regan was on a rant, so I let him go to the forefront.
Yeah. What about the
nursery places?
Oh, the chart. Yeah, the nursery places. Yeah.
How about opening more?
Bonjour, Marcus. Good to see you in the chat there.
Who's that, Marcus?
Hello,
Marcus
Tom. Here. Yep, and Tom's there in the chat as well. Good to see you, Tom.
Hi, Marcus. David Gerardo's here.
And David, good to see you guys.
He says, I have a lovely Atari t-shirt. Thank you, David. I like it as well. Yeah, the Super NES, the Super NES Nintendo. I won't mind going to work again. Something to do, says number 3. Yeah, if you like going to work, that's fine. Stu Regan Lee, you can't stop disabled people having been able to work or not, even if they fix the NHS. Things will happen. Mental health and other disabilities. It'll just help support them better.
Yeah, I feel like they're just trying to, you know, Stu, I just feel like they're trying to take away any chance of people claiming any kind of benefits and just trying to shove them into work. It's very scary right now for people who are really struggling, who have to rely on the government.
Yeah. Lolly Cat says Deadwood, I think you mean John Redwood, cried uncontrollably when the corporation tax rise was announced and Fabricator lost his wig. Yeah, Michael Fabricant was really having losing his rag, I think. His rag or his wig? Yeah, in the his carpet. Chris Fisher, what damages mental health is having to jump through hoops when you're in need of help? Nothing question a person worse than needing help and feeling they are a burden for asking.
Budget statement, I take it, has Hunt declared bankruptcy yet, says Tom. Apparently not. Apparently not.
Pedro says another problem is that taxes will be higher for many since they earn more and thereby end up in a different rate than before. Yeah, I saw the Guardian put like an analysis and like these separated out into different sort of scenarios of like, but in virtually every single one, everybody got big pay rises, and it's like that isn't going to happen. I haven't had a pay rise this year. They've literally said we're not getting pay rises. So while my bills have gone up, everything's gone up. My wages are literally the same.
I've not had a pay rise yet this year, but I did have a 15p pay rise last year at Christmas. So I got something, but I always say sometimes. I mean, I'm in an okay position where I am, but obviously not as good as other people. Or better. I'm in a good position. I am, but obviously other people are not so fortunate.
I mean, if you're on minimum wage, that goes up quite a bit next year, or in April. So it's a lot more than most people will be getting.
Yeah, I am close to the minimum wage, to be fair.
One of the things with minimum wage is that
I'm above the minimum wage, but I'm close to it. Let me put it that
one
way.
of the things is if you're I don't know what yours is, but I'm not. But if you're just above minimum wage, and this is one of the things that a guy at my work's found, minimum wage seems to go up quite a bit every year. But if your wages don't increase and you're just above, you can end up in minimum wage, because if your pay doesn't increase enough, minimum wage basically catches up with you. And he was in a management role or supervisory role, and he had people who were working underneath him that he was previously being paid more than them, and he found that he was basically on the same salary as them. So he had to kind of go to the company and say, "Look, you need to sort this out." And I've seen that a few people had that issue or similar issues. So
yeah. So we jump I don't know what keep saying in the chat.
I just want to make sure. What about the 11 million potholes, says Marcus? Yeah. But just make sure we cover. Tom Nelson's here. Yeah, I think he's mentioned him, didn't you?
Yeah, I mentioned that. Let's just quickly talk about the strikes before we go to the next clip, because I don't want to touch too much on it because we're already halfway through the stream because of going through that budget.
Yeah. Okay.
But just quickly, guys, today we had one of the biggest strikes in the UK that took place. I can vouch for that because where I worked, there was lots and lots of parents and kids out and about. There was I'm not going to talk too much about the article itself, but there was a lot of strikes today. There was the rail. We had university staff. We had
teachers were off.
I think teachers.
Yeah, my kids are off,
we had
and tomorrow as well.
Pretty much the country
Underground.
Vast majority of it was at a standstill. Some schools were running, but most were not.
BBC journalists, junior doctors, civil servants.
So people couldn't get to work. Obviously, they had to rely on buses. It was a nightmare for people on the London Overground, I heard, as well. Junior doctors, apparently. So I don't know who covered it. Apparently, junior doctors are earning less than coffee workers.
Is it pret-a-manger baristas?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah.
That was just shocking.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe that.
Because I think
shocking.
I think it's because they do extra work that they don't get paid for as well. So when you count how many hours they're doing in a week for what they get paid, they actually get paid less per hour than a barista.
Roughly around about £14 or so they're on junior doctors. Is that correct? I think that's what I read on. I think
that rings a bell. Yeah, so
it might have been Phil from a different bias that I watched the video on it. I could be wrong, but they had to strike today because of the budget to really try and make their voices heard. But obviously, Jeremy Hunt decided not to mention it. I was a bit annoyed that Keir Starmer didn't mention anything about it either when he did his rebuttal to the budget. He didn't mention the workers. He didn't mention that he didn't say, where's the help for these workers? He never mentioned that. That really frustrated me. Okay, you don't want your people on the picket lines and all that, but hey, those people, they need somebody to say something for them. And at least you could have done is acknowledge that they're there, but you didn't even do that.
Yeah. Okay.
That's very frustrating.
Is there anything else you want to talk about on that?
No, let's move on.
Actually, yeah, just also says factoring debt that they accrue and it's way less than £14 per hour. Yeah, I read immigrant doctor's account on Twitter, £12 an hour because of extra charges, says number 3. Yeah, if you work in a hospital, you probably got to pay for parking as well. Yeah, it was filled, Tom says. Jeremy Hunt, I won't say what he said, likes a coffee. He does. He's got a funny way of walking, Jeremy Hunt. It doesn't look like he's comfortable in his own shoes when he's walking. Do you have a look at this?
Now, we're going to hear the real budget, guys. This is the real budget from the real Chancellor of the Exchequer.
Madam Deputy Speaker, in the face of enormous challenges, many of which we created ourselves, I report today on an economy that is proving the doubters wrong, as long as they were doubting that we could give more tax breaks to the rich. In the autumn, we made 2 difficult decisions to deliver stability and sound money. And once we got rid of Liz and Kwasi, we also did some other stuff. The most important thing happening in the next tax year, which I definitely won't mention in this speech, is the freezing of income tax thresholds, which is an effective tax increase which will cost most people way more than all of the giveaways I mentioned today. The theme of today's budget can be summed up by the 4 E's: everything, everywhere, all at once. Last year, the OBR forecast that this year we would be in a recession, but I can now reveal that this year we will not be in a recession. Technically. Which is technically a good thing. Just like Diet Pepsi is technically a drink. I'm going to bask in the positivity of the OBR report and let you find out for yourselves later that it also says that real disposable incomes will fall by more than 5% for the next 2 years, the largest 2-year fall since records began. But oh, look over there, I'm reducing the price of a pint. Yes, that's right. We're reducing the duties on draft beer by 11p per pint. So when you get told how much your drink is, you'll still say, "What?" but slightly less incredulously than before. I'm calling it the Brexit Pub Guarantee, because it doesn't matter which pub you go into, you're guaranteed to find someone at the bar who still thinks that Brexit was a good idea. Brexit Pub Guarantee is also my nickname for Nigel Farage. So, to the E's. The first E is energy. Over the last 13 years, we have increased our renewable energy usage from 10% to 40%, which is entirely down to the government and nothing to do with improvements in technology. But let's be honest, there are days when the sun doesn't shine, although if you're talking about the newspaper, we're usually bathed in a pretty warm glow. So I'm going to class nuclear power as environmentally sustainable. And just for a laugh, I might class Rishi Sunak as a good long-term investment. So, to the next E, inflation, which is forecast to drop from 10.7% today to 2.9% by the end of this year. A triumph for this government. And we've achieved this by watching wholesale gas prices fall and not paying the public sector very much. I mean, that wasn't necessary, just a bit of a bonus. The next E is investment. We're removing the cap on pensions, which will help literally hundreds of the wealthiest people in this country. What can I say? Tory's gonna Tory. We're also introducing apprenticeships for older people called returnships, where you'll be able to learn crucial skills for the modern workplace, like what is a TikTok and how to keep your WhatsApps private, Matt. We want to get old and disabled people back into work because there are just too many vacancies in the jobs market. What else are we going to do? Encourage immigration? How will that go down with the Brexit Pub Guarantee? The final E is childcare. Childcare. Which doesn't mean we're trying to get robots to look after our kids. Although I'm offering £1 million a year to anyone who can make that happen. We know that childcare is far too expensive, so we are going to offer free childcare for all children under 2 in 2 years' time. So it will only really affect children who are yet to be born. So get shagging, not you, Boris. Oh, and before I forget, I'm going to mention swimming pools, just to keep Rishi on his toes. Can you get a returnship for Prime Minister?
Oh, God, Matt Green there, guys, with the real budget of today.
Why should you use Miro? Well, when you draw on a whiteboard, no one sees it. With Miro, you plan to...
Thank you. I think Lee's just happened to have gotten an emergency phone call. Hopefully he'll be back with us shortly. But yeah, that's the budget. The real budget. And Lee, I think he muted himself there.
Yeah, somebody decided to ring me, so it wasn't one I could ignore. But there you go.
All right. Shall we go into a more interesting story, Lee?
What, than the budget? Really?
A story that people might actually be interested in.
Okay.
Right, so this one's from The Guardian. Do you want me to read this, or do you want to do
I
this
can
one?
read it if you want. Let me have a quick drink before I do. My throat's a bit dry.
Get your energy together.
Sprite, there we go. Okay. Troubling messages showing number 10 pressure on BBC need investigating, say former staff. BBC journalists asked to avoid term lockdown in reporting at the start of the pandemic, leaked messages show. So former BBC staffers have expressed concerns about the leaked WhatsApp and email messages, suggesting the corporation bowed to pressure from number 10 to avoid using the word lockdown at the start of the pandemic and to turn up criticism of Labour. Rob Burley, a former senior editor in charge of political programmes, described the messages as very troubling, while veteran BBC journalist John Simpson stressed that it was not our job to do Downing Street's bidding. The message revealed by Guardian on Tuesday date from 2020 to 2022 and show the BBC coming under pressure from number 10 over the corporation's political reporting. One email shows a senior editor informing correspondents that Downing Street was requesting them not to use the word lockdown in relation to the shutdown ordered by Boris Johnson on 23rd of March 2020, the day the first lockdown was announced. Another WhatsApp message asked correspondents to turn up the scepticism a bit towards Labour after a complaint from Downing Street the corporation was not reflecting the mess of the opposition's call for Plan V COVID measures. Burley said the messages were very troubling evidence of the way that BBC executives operate in relation to government and how they put pressure on journalists to reflect the Number 10 line. This goes to the heart of it and it needs investigation, he said. He said the most troubling aspect of this is that these messages suggest that the political news team were not just made aware of Downing Street's view, but encouraged to reflect it as a BBC view. That's pretty scandalous. Burley's now editor of Beth Rigby interviews on Sky News was formerly responsible for BBC Live political programmes such as the Andrew Marr Show, Daily Politics and This Week. He added, when I was at the BBC, there's a distinction between the political news team and political programmes which I ran. I avoided interaction with Number 10 and certainly never discouraged programmes to cover issues that annoyed them. I left when the BBC ended this important distinction and merged news with programmes, all with the same bosses. So from 2021 onwards, programmes were left from political interference like this because it became part of the news operation discussed by The Guardian. I just want to kind of find there was the article, the Guardian article actually had some of the tweets there, some of the messages that were sent. There doesn't seem to be any in here. But Keir Starmer questioned the government's handling of the Lineker affair. Fiasco. He said, he asked Rishi Sunak, does he accept that people's concerns about the BBC have been made worse because the government chose to put Richard Sharp, Tory donor with no broadcasting experience, in charge of the BBC? So he implied, as he well knows, the BBC chairman was appointed before I became Prime Minister. Starmer said Sharp has been described as a mentor to Sunak, and he helped arrange an £800,000 credit line for the former Prime Minister. And my detail, he forgot to tell a select committee which scrutinised his appointment. Does the Prime Minister think that his friend's position is still tenable? Sunak insisted there was a rigorous, independent and well-established process for appointing Sharp. The process of reviewing his appointment was independent, adding, instead of prejudging and preempting that review, we should let it conclude and wait for the outcome. Just like we had to wait for the Sue Gray report and the Russia report and all those other things that we always
wait. Look over there, guys. Yeah. Look over there.
Hopefully, something more interesting comes along and takes the
precedence.
Takes the focus off it. But some of the interesting stuff. Number 10 was just like asking them to criticise Labour's response to the pandemic and say they were flip-flopping and things like that. Then there actually was in the reporting, there seemed to be a change in the way that they did it. It's not good. It's not good. We need to get the BBC independent, completely independent of the government. A commission of some sort that's non-political, non-partisan. Because at the moment you got two Tories on the top of the BBC. One a Tory donor, substantial Tory donor, and one a former member of the Tory party and leader of a local Tory constituency. It's not.
Yeah, it's not good. And we won't get anything like that unless Labour, if once they get into power, do something about it. Whether they will or not, my assumption is that Labour will put in some kind of independent body to do a review of the BBC and then make necessary changes from the recommendation of that, rather than taking anything that's been said about the BBC now, and they'll get an independent people in to investigate the BBC.
Hopefully they will. Hopefully they will.
Cross fingers, anyway. Cross fingers, they will.
Chris Fisher says.
As for the whole,
oh, sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, like, the whole thing of ignoring the term lockdown is kind of stupid when every other broadcaster was saying lockdown anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't see how that was ever going to work anyway. Sorry, what was Chris Fisher going to say?
Chris Fisher, the continual snowfall as my ice stream. Is it distracting that? Because I can turn it off if it is. Because we put it on for Christmas, but I've kind of left it on. But although we did have snow yesterday, so. Real snow.
Keir Starmer did mention snowflakes today, accusing them as a bunch of snowflakes in PMQs.
Sorry, snowflakes. Yeah.
So the term is getting around.
Yeah. So. Just in the chat then, because we didn't really do the chat last time.
What's that?
Just looking whether there's anything strike. Just talking about farting and
11p Jeremy. Oh, is that the new term for him?
Jeremy who?
11p Jeremy Hunt.
Oh, Jeremy Hunt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeremy Hunt is a lovely guy.
Corruption occurs worldwide, but not just here. Old boy says number 3. Yeah, of course, corruption is everywhere. You can't get rid of it completely.
So, just talking about the political influence from the Gary Lineker story. We've just got a news article on that. So have a look at this.
Oh yes.
Welcome to Broken News. The BBC has reinstated Match of the Day presenter and crisp icon Gary Lineker after coming to a deal over his controversial political tweets. Director General Tim Davie said the lovely and surprisingly flexible 62-year-old could return to air after the two parties reached a compromise, whereby Lineker agreed to absolutely none of the BBC's demands. Lineker had refused to apologise and said he wouldn't retract his comments, which a BBC spokesperson said definitely amounted to him backing down. Our reporter Shaniqua Trayvon III has more.
A national broadcasting icon, the tight-bunned former England striker had been accused of saying something factually accurate. His claim that government rhetoric had similarities to that used in 1930s Germany had been verified as objectively true by both historians and experts. But many, including racists and arseholes, deemed it untrue, citing articles shared on Facebook by their mums. Commentators like toad-faced grifter Nigel Farage and Talk TV's fish-lipped piss-flap Mike Graham decried Lineker's comments as an attempt to silence the government and said the only way to stop this sort of cancel culture was for Lineker to be sacked. Shaniqua Trayvon III for Broken News, London.
Shaniqua, thank you. In a statement aimed at ending the row, BBC bosses said that despite mass walkouts by its most popular presenters, a very real damaging of trust in the BBC and a step towards destroying one of the remaining good things about this country, the corporation had done absolutely nothing wrong, and you should shut the fuck up. That's it from Broken News. You're up to date.
Oh, where can I get our news channel? They were very good.
Very good.
Excellent news coverage.
It's better than GB News.
Yeah.
Way better than GB News.
Broken News. You should definitely look them up and subscribe. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. Larry and Paul, if you can, if you want to see more of their work, very good.
Larry and Paul live on Thursdays.
Not tomorrow. Not tomorrow night though.
Not tomorrow. Maybe next week they'll be there.
Maybe next week, but who knows?
I will highlight on the Discord server if they do they do go live. For you guys, if you're not a subscriber, I'd recommend it.
Okay.
Shall we move away from the UK?
Yeah, to Ukraine. Did you want to read this one or shall I?
You read this one.
All right, okay.
I'll let you read this one.
Just need to adjust the screen. My voice is going again. Let's get a quick drink. Apologies. GB News style quality there. So Ukrainian soldiers in Bakhmut are defiant and ready to fight. Civilians being battered. Soldiers at fighting positions in villages west of the battleground city of Bakhmut told Kyiv Post in March 11th and 12th that they're confident and still stop the Russian attacks. So this is from the Kyiv Post. So in Chasiv Yar, a critical logistics hub in the Donbass, incoming Russian howitzer shells detonated intermittently, but Ukrainian gunners firing mortars and howitzers were outshooting Kremlin artillery by at least 5-1. 4 kilometres west of the embattled city of Bakhmut, Chasiv Yar is a nexus for 2 key supply roads. Both are under Russian long-range fire and are being used by the armed forces of Ukraine to carry ammunition, food, fuel and reinforcements to Ukrainian defences in one of the hottest sectors of the war. Although roads can be hit by Russian artillery, soldiers and civilians said the supplies are still getting through. On March 11th to 12th, Kyiv Post reporting team drove routes between Chasiv Yar, Slovyansk and Kostiantynivka and found them passable to a 4-wheel drive vehicle and in regular use by mostly military traffic in both directions. AFU troops encountered in Chasiv Yar and elsewhere in the sector appear to be well fed in good spirits and in some cases even apologetic for a standing AFU order banning quoted official conversations between Ukrainian military service members and the media. Several offered hot drinks, fresh fruit, energy drinks or use of the building basements if needed as a bomb shelter. Many soldiers were identification patches from regular combat brigades with well-established fighting reputations. They appear to be rested, clean and well-armed, both with personal weapons and combat vehicles. key post team observed a mix of NATO standard and Soviet-era equipment. In informal conversations, more than 10 AFU officers, non-commissioned officers, and enlisted soldiers and 6 villages near the front line said their formations are holding against continuing Russian infantry attacks in and around Bakhmut. The Russian assaults lack heavy weapons of their own, particularly infantry fighting vehicles, tanks, and heavy artillery, they said. That's in Chasiv Yar.
They're holding the line pretty much.
Yeah, they're holding the line. It's interesting. I was reading that there's I think the British or the American military intelligence are saying that the Russians are down to like a fifth of the amount of they're only using like a fifth of the amount of artillery because they haven't got the ammunition, just not getting the supplies through. To maintain constant bombardment. So I think Bakhmut is still holding. Just a second, I'll bring this up. I think
there was an interesting. There's an interesting YouTuber. If you guys are interested, he's called Real Life Law, and he did a little bit of a detailed video on how Ukraine could potentially recapture Crimea, or how difficult it would be to capture Crimea.
Right.
And it was a it's on Discord if you guys want to look at it, but it's a fascinating video of how they would need to cut off the supplies to Crimea, but it would be extremely difficult, and the Ukraine would have to sacrifice up to 100,000 casualties in order to recapture Crimea.
It depends because they've dug in quite a bit in Crimea, especially on the coast. I think the Russians are expecting quite a big invasion by sea, but I don't think Ukraine would do that.
That's not the other. That's just one of the issues. Even if they retook it, the problem is that the majority of Crimeans there are pro-Russian as well. So there's that issue as well as an issue to deal with, because a lot of the Ukrainians have been pushed out and pro-Russians have been pushed in.
Yeah. So just going back to in Bakhmut. So on the 10th, you can see again this on the right in the pink is the Russian side, Russian forces. The bit in between, the green is the Ukrainian forces. The bit in between is the parts that are under no control. So usually where the fighting is happening, the arrows are pointing where the push is happening, from the offensives are happening. So this is on the 10th, and then the 11th. You can see there's movement there. And movement back again there on the 11th. And then the 12th, you can see this area here. This is Chasiv Yar, which I was talking about in the article before. I think it's the supply routes in and out of the area, which is the Russians are bombing, which they're trying to hold on to. You can see the fighting's really progressed in there. And I think, and that's today. Some more here. Yeah, you can see my cursor.
Yes, they're really.
So they're really pushing. Let's just zoom into Bakhmut. So they're over. I think when we looked last week,
from the looks of that, it looks as if they're gonna lose it. But
last week the Russians were still on the Bakhmutki River.
It appears they're not moving there, so they're looking to flank.
I mean the idea is that I think the Russians always from the beginning was to push from the north and the south, northwest and southwest of the city to kind of encircle. And you can see that they're definitely pushing in the south. It's going really slow in terms of updating. But yeah, this part has really moved in, and so has around here. You can see this whole area here now is like under no control. But the Russian forces are still, in terms of control, are still sort of on the eastern side of the river in the centre of the city. So, we'll see. I think it's these supply route. I think this road here, I think, is a major supply route, and this is why the Russians are desperate to get hold of that, because it'll limit the Ukrainians' ability to get into there, and also to for the Russians to move their forces and artillery about and supplies. So. Yeah. So it's still ongoing. They're still holding out. I think people expected them to Ukrainians to have given up. Oh, sorry, wrong one again.
Oh, press
Trigger happy with that button. I need to move that button. It's too close to the others. So there's still the Ukrainians are still holding out, even though I expect them to give up, or not give up, but retreat from there a few weeks back. But
what are you guys saying in the chat? Good evening, all. Sorry I'm late. Hope everyone's well. Good to see you, Daily Blase.
Oh, hi, Daily Blase. Sorry, we need to promote your channel is brilliant, and so is Marcus All Shorts. Go and check them out if you can. Do some really good videos on Brexit and things like that. Yeah, everybody's just saying hello. The way into Crimea on land makes it difficult to attack, says Duke Vengeance. Yeah, unless the Russians withdraw like they did in Donbass. But one of the things is that there's the nuclear sub base or nuclear base is in the southwest of Crimea, and that would be the Russians wouldn't want to give that up. So that would be a sticking point for a start in terms of defence. Yeah.
See, so some discussion about a cooking show there between French and David. I was like, okay, I don't know where the idea of cooking came from when we were talking about the Russia-Ukraine war, but okay. Right, we are going to end up going a bit over, aren't we? Unfortunately.
Okay. Well, we're not that. We haven't got many things to talk about, so okay. Go on to the next one then. I got another funny one because we found a few funny ones this week, so we're quite.
Yeah, really good funny ones. So.
Boris Johnson wants his dad, Stanley, to receive a knighthood, and who better to represent the British establishment than someone who gropes women, beats his wife and talks bollocks? Because that's kind of what Britain's become, hasn't it? A nation of utter bastards. Stanley Johnson's been welcomed into the British media both before and after we all learned what he was really like. Ooh, because he's a posh man and he says funny things. No, he's a nasty wife con artist. Stop making him cuddly. And people love to talk about virtue signalling, but this is the opposite. This is like twat signalling. People sitting around saying, what's the quickest way for me to make everyone think I'm a prick? I know, I'll nominate Stanley Johnson to become a Knight of the Realm. Not that a knighthood is some bastion of sainthood, of course, when you're joining the likes of Jimmy Savile, Rolf Harris, Robert Mugabe, and worst of all, Gavin Williamson. Surely it's not long till Darth Vader and Fred West get their gongs. Because if this absolute helmet gets a knighthood, what message does that send out to women suffering domestic abuse? What signal does it give to someone who's trapped inside a relationship with someone treating them like Stanley Johnson treated his ex-wife? It says don't complain, don't report, and whatever you do, don't make him angry. Because a knighthood for Handsy Stanley would also send out a pretty vile message to certain men that this kind of behaviour is not just accepted, it's rewarded. Fuck this country, man.
Oof. We didn't watch that before, so when we said it was funny, he's a comedian, so we thought it would be funny. But yeah, he's
sometimes Sam Avery comes across funny. Sometimes it's just putting it out there as it is. And well said from Sam Avery there. Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, it's this country. Yeah, let's go to a story that's not in this country. It's actually a nice story, Lee.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lovely. It's another animal story. I do like these lovely animal stories. So a husky with a facial deformity finally finds its forever family as they drove over 2,000 miles just to get him. It all started with a Facebook post by Joy. I can't say that second name. A humane officer at the San Diego County Department of Animal Service in Carlsbad. To give them the attention they need, Oliver posted pictures of the pups ready to be adopted from their shelter, adding that they would make excellent pets for their catching. One of the pups waiting for their forever home was Harvey, a husky around 2 years old with facial deformity, giving him an enduring and lopsided grin. While most of this found this facial deformity cute and unique, others thought it was ugly. Harvey arrived at the Carlsbad shelter in September 2022 looking thin and dirty. Harvey was named after the DC Comics character Harley Dent because of his crooked smile. In the comic, Harvey later became Two-Face. According to Oliver, Harvey was examined by veterinarians. The facial deformity was most likely due to him being bitten when Harvey was a young puppy. It's good. The good news is that it didn't bother or hurt Harvey. But sadly, Harvey's facial deformity seems to bother potential adopters. According to Oliver, people would walk past Harvey and not give him a second look. She even heard people commenting he was ugly because of his facial deformity. Oliver added that Harvey was not requested to be taken out for interactive or even possible adoption for the entire time he was in the shelter. It made them sad for Harvey, whom they loved very much, because they knew how sweet, bright, and quiet this puppy was, with a lopsided grin. However, moreover, he was a mellow dog who gets along with other dogs. He's also loved treats. Even with the facial deformity, Harvey loved so much to give. This drove them to create a Facebook post about Harvey's remarkable personality, quicker smile, and how much he had to offer and why he should be given a chance. Fortunately, the Facebook post caught attention of her family living in Woodinville, Washington. It was love at first sight for Sherry, 41-year-old. She quickly responded to the Facebook post, even if she was located over 1,000 miles away from the shelter. According to Shelley, she saw Harvey's silly grin, and she knew that she had to meet him. She also found Harvey so wonky and adorable. She jokingly told her husband that they already found their second dog. They've been looking for another dog, so their first dog, River, would have a friend, but nothing seemed to click. While she wasn't actively looking for a dog to adopt when she saw the Facebook post, Sherry found it hard to resist, and Harvey's sweet face and goofy smile. The only thing she saw, only the cutest dog ever, not a dog with a facial deformity. After thinking about it some more, Sherry knew that Harvey was the perfect dog for their family. He was the one. Sherry immediately reached out to Oliver about her desire to adopt Harvey. Within 3 days, she and the two kids, Harrison, 7, and I can't say that word. Can you say that word? Longer. Sorry if I botched it at work. 4 plus their dog River were on a road trip to Carlsbad. Sherry also knew Harvey could be adopted before she and her family arrived in San Diego, but there was a risk Sherry was willing to take. After all, there was nothing sad about Harvey finding someone who will adopt him. Our road trip to San Diego was perfect. Anyway, it had been a while since the Langston family visited their friends and family places there. They drove 2,600 miles for over 6 days just to see Harvey in person, to bring him to his forever home. That is so cool. Everything turned out great for Harvey and the Langston family. On their first meeting, Harvey immediately took to Sherry's kids. Harvey got along really well with River too. The following day, Sherry's husband, Robert, flew to Carlsbad to meet Harvey, who just walked up to him and leaned against his leg like they were old friends. The following morning, on Saturday, Harvey began the long trip back home with his new family. For Olga, parting ways with Harvey was bittersweet, but she and Sherry had become friends and later had been sending text messages, photos and videos of Harvey almost every day. Since Sherry brought Harvey home, she has learnt more about Harvey's rescue story. Someone who saw Harvey's story on Facebook reached out to her and shared how they were riding the ATVs in the desert and saw Harvey under a bush with 2 female huskies. Harvey saved the lives of 2 female huskies by helping them follow the ATV back to the car so they could be rescued. The dog followed them for miles and they had no leashes on. The dog who helped Harvey and the 2 female dogs brought them back to their camp to feed them strawberries and a chicken burger patties. Since Harvey has been home with his new family, he has thrived and he's happily settled with the kids and the other animals, including a snail and 4 cats.
Snail? Snail? Come on.
A snail! Yes, a snail!
Not a pet.
Oliver hopes that Harvey's incredible story will encourage adopters to look beyond the animal's flaws. You can read about a serious adoption story or this doctor's show as emotional thank you. All they need is a family to love them and a lovely home where they can feel safe, and they all deserve a chance. I like this. Like the dog's just being looked at for not by like the facial, but just by being himself. You know.
How cute is that?
It is so cute. I don't know why people think like it's ugly or anything. It's just like I don't see it. You know, I just see just a lovely.
My brother rescued a dog with a slightly deformed nose. It was just slightly wonky at one side, but you know, so what? Still cute.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I mean, how often do you guys see a husky? You know, and you can't help but look at them. They're so beautiful, aren't they? They are lovely dogs. They really are when you see them out and about. So, playing with the buttons again.
Sorry. I need to move that one. It's just just keep hitting it.
Oh dear.
Right. From one.
I hope you guys enjoyed that one.
Yeah.
One more story, guys, before we start wrapping things up. It's the one you've all been waiting for.
Is it about the crocodile, a cuddly crocodile? Cuddly Croc?
Yeah, it's a crocodile. Everyone, you all wanted a Wouldn't you guys like your very own a pet crocodile to sleep and cuddle with? Well, this guy does. This is the headline. I have a pet crocodile who sleeps in my bed and I love cuddles. It's like having a dog. The man with a pet crocodile has said he's so keen for cuddles and she sleeps in his bed with him. Crocodiles usually come as a fearsome reputation. Many in the wild have been known for their aggressive nature and tendencies to happily eat whatever comes across their path, including humans. Jonathan, 29, said his pet croc, Gromoa, acts like a dog and is allowed to roam his house at will. She's free to roam the house at will, and she spends time lying on the armchairs in my bed, and she knows how to climb stairs and incredibly goes in and out of her pond at will. And there you go, some nice pictures there, sharing some lovely moments together.
Sorry, I wouldn't be able to sleep if there's a crocodile in my house. There's no way I'd let it have free roam in my house. It's like that idea. There
are very few cases of crocodiles that can adapt as well as capacity as she does. The fact that her species is such a doctrine specimen allows you to carry her, to be close to her and not get angry and to be nervous is surprising. Jonathan said that his name is Croc Gamola after the Guardians of the Galaxy character because when he bought her, she was a small, green, and aggressive animal. He continued, the species to which she belongs is well known for the aggressiveness that she presents in the wild, and she, on the contrary, her character has allowed her to participate in videos and shoots as a model. Gamola also has two chihuahuas for company, as well as some
10 chihuahuas, only 2 left.
He has some unique animals, shall we say. Looking after the predator is no means feat, as well as her owner's bed. Gamora also enjoys a healthy diet of rabbit, beef, chicken, and some crossbred. Said to have been bought at hatcheries. Jonathan has also had to control the temperature of his home so that reptile is in the correct environment. He says, as soon as I wake up and go and check on the digital thermostat so the temperature at the place is fine. And unusually it's that the environment is a bit cold. That is something that is simply fixed by turning on the heater.
Yeah.
So that,
oh, isn't it cute?
So not a husky, guys, but hey, get a pet crocodile / alligator.
Yeah, those teeth look fine. Yeah, a big massive jaw.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that, guys. Yeah.
David Girardo says it's better than sleeping with Priti Patel, which is true. You'll be just like.
Well, I wouldn't know what that's like, David, but apparently you do, allegedly.
Allegedly. One more. Ken just says 1 moment of PMT and his face is gone. Yeah. Daily Blase says I feel sorry for their local postie. Warning, crocodile.
You put the hands in the post box. It's not a dog that's going for it.
Ken just says, "Don't cry, guy." I wasn't crying. You were crying, Kendra, not me. I think that was about the dog.
Lovely dog.
Tony Nelson says, "Oh no, turnips." Sorry, Tom. Can't get all the turnips anymore.
Number 3 says, "I'll settle for a pet rock."
Yeah. Give it free roam of the house. Just sits there.
Yeah.
Imagine the sign on the door. Forget about the dogs, mind the crocs, says Tom Nelson. Yeah.
Ginger says, my neighbour's dog might leave me alone if I have one of those. Well, you know where to find one, don't you now?
Yeah, I definitely would not be cuddling that. No, definitely not. But anyway.
Right, guys, just before we wrap up with our outro video, I just want to say big thank you guys for coming along. I really appreciate it, even though we've had a few technical issues. We're just going to blame YouTube for that, or GB News, or Jeremy Hunt, or somebody else. It's always someone else's fault. It's nothing to do with us. If you guys can, on your way out, hit the like button. That would greatly appreciate it. If you can, share the video across other streaming platforms. That would be greatly appreciated as well. And if you can, hit the notification bell icon so you'll be notified of when we go live. At the moment, it is still every Wednesday, 9 PM UK time. And also, we have a Discord server. If you guys haven't joined already, it's completely free. You guys can join. The links are in the description. If we'll try to post it in the chat before the end of the show, the end of the live stream for you guys if you haven't already joined. And on there we do games nights. We do every 2 weeks we do a movie night, and we had a few weeks ago we had a music night, which was one of the most funnest events we have once a month as well.
Games night's good on a Saturday. If you want to join in, we have a good laugh on that.
Yeah, every Saturday night we're normally doing games night, guys. If you haven't, if you're not doing anything, come in, hang out. We do games. Doesn't cost anything to play the games that we play either, as well. It doesn't really cost you anything to join the server. There's no ads or any of that stuff. More than welcome to join our community, guys.
David Girardo says music night was great. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. That was.
Yeah. Mr. Blobby. Do we have Mr. Blobby on it? I can't remember. Did I miss that bit?
Oh God, you've just given them the music idea for next month now. Love to the family, says Larry the Cat. Love to the family. Love to the family. Yes.
Love to the family, Colin.
Love to the family. Yes, love to the family.
Right, I'll put the link of the server in while we're doing we'll play out the video, because I can't do it because otherwise I cut Regan off and just get a load of text, and he doesn't like it.
Yeah.
So we'll say goodnight.
After the show, guys, we'll be in the after chat on the Discord server. So if you guys want to come and hang out with us on there as well, feel free to do so. But I think that's it for today, Lee.
It is. Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. And we'll leave you with this news item. Another news item.
Yes, one more. This one guaranteed to be funny because it has been verified.
Yeah. I was laughing.
Honestly, I just cannot believe that this is the top story of the BBC News.
New reports out today suggest that the tomato shortage is down to Gary Lineker, who stole all the tomatoes. There are now calls for the media personality to be sacked after it has been found that the recent widespread tomato shortage was down to Mr. Lineker's extravagant use of them to make his own pasta sauce. A Tory minister who isn't a Nazi but really looks like one has said it's time for the rich sports presenter to go. If Mr. Lineker did steal all the tomatoes to make a big batch of pasta sauce, then he should do the honourable thing and resign. And if he doesn't, then the BBC should step in and dismiss him. I mean, it's bad enough that they let him stay after he raised energy prices.
Honestly, I just cannot believe that this is the top story.
Night, guys.
Good night, all.